What does it look like to be emotionally healthy or to have emotionally healthy spirituality?
Right. My first question is, are those two separate questions or are they the same question? What does it look like to be emotionally healthy? Or what does it look like to have emotionally healthy spirituality? It is important to kind of hold the tension between the distinction and the unity of the dimensions of our being, right? Because we have a spirit, we have the spiritual essence to us, and we also have our emotional world. And emotions are essentially just kind of chemicals that fire off in our brain in certain places at certain times connected to certain thoughts. So if you look at emotional health, some of the things that would come to mind from off the top of my head would be emotional resilience, right? An ability to bounce back from an emotional setback. Would be another one would be like a realistic optimism, a sense of buoyancy to your soul that you know that ultimately that you're in good hands, that things are going to be okay, but that there's also a realism there that sometimes things just do suck. Sometimes things are painful. Being able to hold those things in tension, I think really maybe at the core of emotional health is being able to sit in attention while two sides are pulling on you really strongly. Maybe that's part of the core of emotional health. So, for example, I really don't want to do this, and this is going to be really good for me. Instead of just saying, well, I'm going to suck it up and just dismiss the reality that I don't want to do it, or I'm not going to do it because there's going to be difficult parts to it. It's maybe holding both sides of that tension and saying, yeah, there's some things that's going to be really tough, but in the end, it's actually going to be worth it to follow through with this or to stick with this. So holding things in tension. I think delayed gratification is an element of emotional health. Being able to see the end beyond just kind of what's right in front of you. And emotionally healthy spirituality really, I think, would look like experiencing the full spectrum of emotion, knowing that God can hold you within that full spectrum from absolute ecstasy and joy and delight to pain, grief, and sorrow, and everything in between, and even the ups and downs of just living the normal human life. Um, I think that's emotionally healthy. And knowing that even there's this interesting book called The Upside of Your Dark Side, even knowing that God can meet us sometimes through what we consider difficult or painful emotions, that there's gifts there, there's messages embedded in there, and there's lessons in there for us. Um, and I think having an emotionally aware spirituality, where we're aware of how we affect a room, where we're aware of how we affect other people, how our thoughts are affecting our emotions, how we manage our emotional energy. So I feel like I'm kind of all over the place, but these are just components I think of emotional health that really it's a robust experience of the human emotion that God has given us the the full gamut of emotion to experience, being able to experience it knowing that beneath it all is this undergirding of the abundance and goodness and grace and patience from the Father, Son, and Spirit that's able to hold us through it all and also move us to a place where ultimately our emotional life is an embodiment or an expression of that of God's, which is goodness flowing through all facets of the emotional scale.